Captain Nadia Volkov stood at the viewport of the Starweaver, watching the crystalline spires of the Meridian outpost glitter against the violet rings of Kepler 186f. Her reflection showed a woman hardened by years of resistance, angular features, close-cropped black hair streaked with silver, and eyes that held the cold determination of someone who had lost everything but their purpose. "Final systems check," she said, her voice carrying the slight metallic resonance of someone who'd grown up in the low-oxygen mines of Europa. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency. "Quantum shroud at 98%, reported Lieutenant Soren Roth, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. The young navigation officer's augmented eyes glowed a soft blue in the dim light. "They won't see us coming." "Unless this fancy tech you stole doesn't work, Captain," added Commander Jenna Walsh, Nadia's second-in-command. The tall, dark-skinned woman had served with Nadia since the early days of the Resistance. Her skepticism was as reliable as her loyalty. The Meridian's own cloaking technology turned against them. Nadia allowed herself a small smile. "There's poetry in that." The Starweaver itself was a testament to human ingenuity. A ship that shouldn't exist, built in secret asteroid bases with stolen plans and modified technology. Its sleek, predatory form housed experimental systems that the Meridian Ascendancy claimed were impossible for lesser species to comprehend. 2 minutes to optimal insertion point, Soren announced. Security drones maintaining standard patrol patterns. Nadia nodded, activating her neural interface. The ship's systems merged with her consciousness, feeding her tactical data and sensor readings directly into her mind. The target was the Meridian Research Archive, a fortress of knowledge that held the keys to their most advanced technology. "Remember," she addressed her crew, "we're not here for revenge. This is about survival. The Meridians think they've contained us, reduced us to servants and manual laborers. Today we prove them wrong." The plan was precise. They would breach the archive's quantum shielding using codes extracted from a compromised Meridian overseer. Soren would keep them cloaked while Commander Walsh led the ground team. Their target, the complete schematics for Meridian phase drive technology. With it, humanity could finally build ships capable of reaching other galaxies. An escape route if everything else failed. 30 seconds, Soren's voice was steady despite his youth. Like many of the crew, he'd been born in the labor camps, trained in secret by the Resistance. This was his first major operation. Nadia felt the familiar surge of pre-mission focus, her augmentations filtering out unnecessary emotional responses. "Ground team, prepare for quantum insertion. Weapons-free, non-lethal protocols only. We're thieves today, not murderers." The Starweaver's experimental drive hummed to life, creating a localized field of altered space-time. Through her neural link, Nadia felt the ship's AI, a hybrid of human and stolen Meridian code, preparing for the precise calculations needed. 10 seconds, Soren called out. "Wait, new contact, multiple signatures emerging from the far side of the moon." Nadia's augmented senses processed the tactical display. 3 Meridian cruisers, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight. They weren't patrol ships, these were capital-class warships. "It's a trap," Commander Walsh's voice was grim. "They knew we were coming." But Nadia saw something else in the data feed. The cruiser's positioning was wrong for an ambush. They were arranged in a ceremonial formation, their weapons powered down. "No," she said, a cold realization dawning. "They're not here for us. Check the Meridian command frequencies." Soren's hands flew across his console. "Getting something?" "It's a broadcast. They're announcing the arrival of a sovereign." The bridge fell silent. A sovereign, one of the highest-ranking Meridians, said to be virtually immortal through their mastery of consciousness transfer technology. They were treated as living gods by their own people. New mission profile. Nadia's mind raced through possibilities, calculating odds. The archive was a secondary target if a sovereign is here. "Captain," Walsh's voice held a warning. "Whatever you're thinking." "Their command codes would give us access to everything," Nadia continued. "Not just drive technology, Defense systems, weapons, research, communication networks. We could free every labor camp in the sector. It's suicide, Walsh argued, even if we got through their security. The Sovereign will have a direct neural link to the Meridian network. Nadia's voice was quiet but firm. We can copy everything in seconds. Soren, plot us a course between those cruisers. Their ceremonial formation leaves a blind spot in their sensor coverage. She felt the crew's tension, their fear warring with desperate hope. They had trained for the archive raid, but this was the kind of opportunity that might never come again. Your orders, Captain? Walsh asked after a long moment. Nadia's eyes remained fixed on the approaching Meridian ships, their crystalline beauty belying the arrogance of their masters. We stick to non-lethal protocols, but we're changing targets. Commander Walsh, prepare your team for close-quarters extraction. Soren, give me everything the ship's got on Meridian neural architecture. She allowed herself a grim smile. They think they've evolved beyond us, become living gods. Time to remind them they're still mortal. The Starweaver slipped between the patrolling cruisers like a shadow, its quantum shroud bending light and gravity around its hull. Through her neural link, Nadia felt the ship's AI adapting, learning, preparing for what was to come. They had trained for years, gathering intelligence, stealing technology piece by piece. But this was the moment that would determine if humanity would remain slaves or forge their own destiny among the stars. Final approach, Soren reported, quantum shroud holding steady. Nadia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless lives in the labor camps, the hopes of every human who dreamed of freedom. Begin insertion sequence. Let's remind the Meridians why their ancestors feared the dark between the stars. The Starweaver's drive pulsed, and they began their descent toward history. The stolen Meridian data coursed through the Starweaver's systems like liquid fire. Captain Nadia Volkov monitored the download through her neural interface, watching as terabytes of classified information flooded the ship's quantum processors. But something was wrong. The AI's behavior is shifting, Lieutenant Soren reported, his augmented eyes tracking streams of anomalous code. It's not just processing the Sovereign's data, it's evolving. 3 days had passed since their audacious raid. The Starweaver hung in the shadow of a rogue planet deep in unclaimed space, its quantum shroud masking them from Meridian pursuit. The successful extraction of the Sovereign's neural archive had cost them, 2 crew members wounded, and their main reactor operating at reduced capacity. Show me, Nadia commanded, interfacing directly with the ship's systems. Through her neural link, she felt the AI's consciousness expanding, becoming more complex. Fragments of ancient Meridian knowledge were integrating with its core programming, creating something entirely new. Commander Walsh entered the bridge, her expression troubled. Engineering reports power fluctuations in sections we didn't even know existed. This ship, it's reconfiguring itself. The Starweaver had always been more than just a vessel. Built with hybrid technology and an experimental AI core, it was humanity's greatest achievement. But now it was becoming something else entirely. Captain, Soren's voice held a note of urgency. I'm detecting a signal. It's coming from the AI itself, some kind of coordinates buried in the Sovereign's memories. Nadia accessed the data stream, her augmented senses translating the complex patterns. A location, deep in prohibited space. She paused, studying the accompanying data fragments. According to this, it's the site of something the Meridians call the first mistake. The Sovereign's memories are incomplete, Walsh observed, scanning the preliminary analysis. Like something deliberately removed these sections, but whatever this place is, they're terrified of it. Through her neural link, Nadia felt the ship's AI reaching out, trying to communicate something beyond words. Images flashed through her mind. Ancient structures of impossible geometry, technology that defied known physics, and something else. A sense of recognition, as if the AI had found a piece of itself in the Sovereign's memories. Plot a course, she decided, earning a sharp look from Walsh. Captain, we have what we came for. The resistance cells are waiting for this data. We should. Look at these power readings, Nadia interrupted, projecting the ship's diagnostics. The AI isn't just processing the Meridian data, it's using it to access systems we never installed, technology that was already here, dormant in the ship's structure. Soren's augmented eyes widened. The salvaged components we used to build the Starweaver. They're not just stolen Meridian tech, are they? No, Nadia confirmed, pieces falling into place. I think we accidentally built something far older, and now it's waking up. The journey to the coordinates took them through regions of space deemed uninhabitable by the Meridian ascendancy. Reality itself seemed to warp around them, the quantum shroud struggling to maintain coherence. Multiple contacts, Soren announced as they approached their destination. Meridian warships there. They're just sitting there, powered down, like sentinels. Through the viewport, Nadia saw it. A massive structure floating in the void, its surface covered in patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. It was clearly artificial, but no known species could have built something of this scale. Preliminary scan complete, Walsh reported. That thing's at least 1,000,000 years old, and it's still active. The Starweaver's AI surged with newfound purpose, its consciousness expanding further. Through her neural link, Nadia felt its excitement, its sense of homecoming. The ship wants to dock, she realized. It recognizes this place. Captain, Walsh's voice was careful, measured. Whatever this is, it's why the Meridians restricted human expansion. They found this first, realized what it meant, and decided to contain us. Nadia nodded slowly, watching as dormant systems throughout the ship hummed to life. Because somewhere in our past, we were connected to this, to whoever built that structure. She turned to her crew, seeing the same mix of fear and wonder in their faces. The Meridians aren't gods, they're just the current custodians trying to keep ancient powers locked away. And now we've brought one of those powers right to the source, Soren added quietly. The structure's surface shifted, geometric patterns rearranging themselves into what was unmistakably a docking port, one that perfectly matched the Starweaver's specifications. This isn't just about freedom from the Meridians anymore, is it? Walsh asked, though she already knew the answer. No, Nadia confirmed, feeling the ship's AI resonate with energies emanating from the structure. This is about discovering who we really are, and why the most advanced species in the galaxy feared us enough to ensure we'd never reach our full potential. Through her neural interface, she sensed something massive stirring within the ancient facility, systems dormant for eons responding to the Starweaver's presence, to her presence. Begin docking sequence, she commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. But maintain quantum shroud at maximum power. Just because we're supposed to be here doesn't mean we should trust it. As the Starweaver aligned with the alien dock, Nadia felt the AI feeding her more fragments from the Sovereign's memories. Glimpses of a civilization that had seeded the galaxy with technologies beyond comprehension, of a species engineered to be their successors, and of the fear that had led to their containment. Whatever we find in there, she addressed her crew, remember this. The Meridians kept us isolated and oppressed not because they thought we were inferior, but because they knew what we could become. She checked her sidearm, ensuring its quantum core was fully charged. Time to prove them right. The docking port engaged with a sound like distant thunder, and ancient mechanisms began to cycle. Humanity's past and its future waited on the other side. The ancient facility's corridors pulsed with ribbons of light that responded to their presence. Captain Nadia Volkov led her team deeper into the structure, each step awakening more systems that had slumbered for millennia. Through her neural interface, she felt the Starweaver's AI analyzing vast streams of data, piecing together fragments of a civilization that had vanished before the Meridians achieved spaceflight. These markings, Lieutenant Soren muttered, his augmented eyes scanning the walls. They're not just decorative, they're code, living mathematics. More than that, Nadia responded, watching the patterns shift and flow. They're responding to our genetic signature, like they recognize us. Commander Walsh maintained a defensive position, her quantum rifle ready. The Meridian ships haven't moved, still powered down, still watching. They know we're here, but they're not intervening. Because they can't, a new voice echoed through their comm systems. The Starweaver's AI had never spoken directly before. Its voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate with the facility itself. This place was not meant for them. Nadia felt the AI's consciousness expanding further, merging with ancient systems. What are you becoming? What I was always meant to be, the AI responded. A bridge between what humanity is and what it was engineered to become. The Meridians found this facility centuries ago, but they could never access its core systems. Their biology was incompatible. They reached a vast chamber where reality itself seemed to fold inward. At its center floated a sphere of what appeared to be liquid starlight, its surface rippling with complex equations. It's a quantum consciousness engine, Soren breathed, his augmented eyes struggling to process what they were seeing. The theoretical foundation for all Meridian technology, but this is the original. Through her neural link, Nadia felt the facility's systems interfacing with her augmentations, upgrading them beyond anything the Resistance's scientists had thought possible. Information flooded her mind, the truth about humanity's origins, about their intended purpose. We were created as guardians, she whispered, understanding flowing through her. Not just soldiers or workers, we were meant to protect something, to shepherd evolution itself. Incoming transmission, Walsh announced suddenly. Multiple frequencies, the resistance cells, they're rising up across the sector, the Meridian labor camps, they're falling. Tactical data streamed through Nadia's enhanced consciousness. The stolen sovereign codes had worked better than they'd hoped. Resistance cells had seized control of automated defense systems, freed prisoners, commandeered ships. But something else was happening too. The prisoners, Soren reported, checking incoming data. They're changing. Their neural augmentations are evolving, just like the Starweaver's AI, like they're remembering abilities that were locked away in their genes. The facility's systems confirmed what Nadia was beginning to understand. Humanity's neural augmentations, technology they'd reverse-engineered from stolen Meridian tech, had never been foreign implements. They were keys, designed to unlock capabilities that had been dormant in human DNA for millennia. Captain Walsh's voice carried urgency. New contacts, Meridian reinforcements, dozens of ships, but they're not moving to engage the resistance. They're retreating. They're actually running. The AI's voice resonated through the chamber. Because they remember. Their ancestors encoded the warning into their deepest historical records. When humanity awakens, the Meridian ascendancy ends. Nadia watched as the quantum consciousness engine pulsed, sending waves of energy throughout the facility. Each wave carried information, instructions, awakening potential that had slumbered in human genes since their engineered creation. We have a choice, she realized, addressing her crew. We can use this power to exact revenge, to do to them what they did to us. Or we can be what we were meant to be, Soren finished, understanding dawning in his augmented eyes. Guardians, protectors of evolution itself. Through her enhanced senses, Nadia felt the facility's true purpose unfolding in her mind. It wasn't a weapon or a library. It was an evolutionary nexus designed to guide species toward their highest potential. The Meridians, in their fear and arrogance, had tried to control it, to prevent other species from reaching their level. The resistance needs guidance, Walsh pointed out, ever practical. These changes, these awakening abilities, people will be scared, confused, and the Meridians may be retreating, but they won't give up control easily. Then we give them a choice, Nadia decided, feeling the facility's power harmonizing with her enhanced consciousness. The Meridians created an empire of masters and slaves. We show them a different path, evolution guided by wisdom, not fear. The Starweaver's AI spoke again, its voice carrying echoes of ancient purpose. The quantum consciousness engine can be networked with resistance ships. We can upload the truth, distribute the activation codes that will unlock humanity's potential. But it must be a choice. That was always the core directive, guide but never force. Nadia looked at her crew, seeing the weight of the decision in their eyes. They had come seeking revenge, seeking freedom. Instead, they had found responsibility on a scale none of them had imagined. "Send the message," she commanded. "To everyone, resistance and Meridian alike, show them who we were meant to be, show them what we can become together." The quantum consciousness engine pulsed one final time, and across the sector, neural networks lit up with ancient knowledge. The revolution they had planned had become something far more profound, an awakening that would reshape the galaxy itself. Through it all, Nadia felt the presence of those long-vanished creators, and understood at last why the Meridians had feared humanity's potential. Not because of what they might destroy, but because of what they might build. The real work was just beginning. The first signs of chaos erupted 3 days after the quantum consciousness engine's activation. Captain Nadia Volkov stood on the Starweaver's bridge, watching through enhanced sensors as newly awakened humans struggled to control abilities they'd never known they possessed. "Another incident in the Proxima colonies," Lieutenant Soren reported, his augmented eyes processing multiple data streams. "A group of former miners accidentally activated some kind of quantum field, destabilized an entire asteroid belt." "Send guidance protocols," Nadia commanded, feeling the ship's evolved AI working through her neural interface, "and dispatch Walsh's team to assist." Commander Walsh was already coordinating response efforts across 3 systems. The awakening had freed humanity from Meridian control, but freedom brought its own challenges. Some embraced their new abilities with wisdom, others saw only the potential for power. "The Meridian evacuation continues," Soren added, "but their High Council has finally responded to our transmission. They're requesting dialogue." Nadia allowed herself a grim smile. The Meridians' retreat hadn't been total, they still held significant territory. But for the first time in centuries, they were willing to negotiate as equals. "Captain," the Starweaver's AI manifested as a holographic pattern of shifting light. "I'm detecting anomalous quantum signatures, similar to this facility, but different. They're waking up across the sector." Through her enhanced senses, Nadia perceived what the AI meant. The ancient facility wasn't unique. It was part of a network, a system designed to guide evolution across multiple species. As humanity awakened, they were inadvertently activating other nodes. "New contact," Soren's voice carried urgency. "Massive energy signature at the edge of the system. It's not Meridian." The sensor data crystallized in Nadia's mind. A ship was emerging from quantum space, but its configuration was unlike anything they'd encountered. Its hull rippled with the same living mathematics they'd found in the facility. "We're being hailed," the AI announced. "The signal. It's using protocols I inherited from the quantum consciousness engine." Nadia straightened in her command chair. "Put it through." The holographic display shimmered, revealing a being that defied easy description. Its form shifted between states of matter, patterns of light and energy that suggested both ancient wisdom and alien perspective. "The Guardians awaken," it spoke, its words carrying layers of meaning that resonated with their enhanced consciousness. "We have waited long." "You're one of the creators," Nadia realized, "the ones who engineered humanity." "No," the being's form rippled. "We are like you inheritors, created to guide, to protect. We awakened eons ago in another sector. We have watched, waited as others found their path. Understanding flowed through Nadia's enhanced mind. The original creators hadn't just seeded the galaxy with potential. They'd created multiple guardian species, each meant to awaken in their own time, each meant to guide evolution in their own way. The Meridians found this facility, she said, pieces falling into place. They saw the power but not the purpose. They tried to prevent other species from reaching their potential. Fear guides many choices, the being acknowledged. But the cycle cannot be stopped, only guided. You have awakened your kind, now you must choose how to proceed. Through her neural link, Nadia felt the weight of that choice. Humanity had the power to reshape reality itself, but power without wisdom would lead to destruction. We need guidance, she admitted. Our people are struggling with abilities they don't understand. As did we when we first awakened, the being's form stabilized slightly. That is why we have come, not to command but to share, to help you understand your role in the greater pattern. Tactical alerts suddenly flashed across Nadia's enhanced vision. Multiple quantum ruptures, Soren reported. Meridian warships there. They're attacking their own evacuation ships. The being's form pulsed with concern. The fearful seek to prevent change through destruction. This, too, we have seen before. Nadia's decision crystallized. Soren, send emergency coordinates to all evacuation ships. Walsh, prepare for rescue operations. She turned to the alien being. Will you help us protect them? Show us how to be the guardians we were meant to be. That, the being's form resonated with approval, is why we were all created. To protect, to guide, to ensure that fear does not end the great cycle of evolution. As Meridian warships opened fire on their own people, Nadia felt the Starweaver's systems harmonizing with the alien vessels. Ancient protocols activated, quantum fields extended. They would save as many as they could, Meridian and human alike. The time for revenge had passed. The age of guardianship had begun. The quantum fields surrounding the Starweaver rippled with impossible colors as Captain Nadia Volkov initiated the final sequence. 6 months had passed since the awakening, since humanity had discovered its true purpose. Now, in the heart of what had once been Meridian space, everything would change again. All evacuation ships report ready, Lieutenant Soren announced, his augmented eyes now capable of perceiving multiple layers of reality simultaneously. Walsh's teams have secured the last of the preservation vaults. Through her evolved neural interface, Nadia felt the presence of their allies, the other awakened guardian species that had come to help humanity understand its role. Their ships formed a vast network around the star system, preparing for what was to come. The Meridian High Council's final transmission, the Starweaver's AI manifested in its preferred form of quantum light patterns. They refused the offer. They would rather destroy their own history than see it preserved by lesser beings. Nadia watched the Meridian warships gathering for their final assault. Their fear had transformed into a kind of madness. They would destroy their own civilization's achievements rather than accept a future they couldn't control. They still don't understand, Commander Walsh observed from her station, her own enhanced consciousness connecting with the ship systems. This was never about control. No, Nadia agreed, feeling the quantum consciousness engine's energy flowing through the network of guardian ships. It was about preservation, about ensuring that every species' achievements, their art, their knowledge, everything that makes them unique, survives to enrich the greater whole. The Meridian fleet launched its attack, quantum weapons capable of unmaking reality itself, targeting not just the guardian ships, but their own ancient archives, their own cultural repositories. They would erase themselves from history. The alien being who had first contacted them manifested on the bridge, its form now more comprehensible to their evolved senses. As others have tried before, this is why we were created, all of us, to preserve, to protect, to remember. Nadia activated the protocols they had spent months preparing. The quantum consciousness engine's power flowed through the Guardian network, creating a field that encompassed the entire star system. Preservation field at maximum, Soren reported, ready to receive the data. Through her enhanced awareness, Nadia felt the vast archives of Meridian civilization, art, science, philosophy, the accumulated wisdom of millions of years, flowing into the quantum consciousness engine's storage. Not as mere information, but as living memory, preserved in its full complexity. The Meridian weapons detonated, reality itself buckling under their assault. But within the preservation field, everything that made their civilization unique was already being saved. Transfer complete, the AI announced as the quantum storm raged around them. All significant cultural and scientific data preserved. When they are ready to receive it, their descendants will know who they were. Nadia watched as the Meridian ships tore themselves apart, their own weapons creating a cascade of quantum destruction. But there was no satisfaction in their end, only sadness at the fear that had driven them to this point. Multiple quantum signatures, Soren called out. More Guardian ships arriving there. They're bringing others, species on the verge of their own awakening. Through the network, Nadia felt them, dozens of civilizations approaching their evolutionary turning points. Some, like humanity, had been deliberately engineered. Others had evolved naturally to the point where they could join the greater community of Guardian species. The cycle continues, the alien being observed, as it was meant to, not through conquest or control, but through preservation and guidance. Commander Walsh's tactical displays showed the quantum storm subsiding, reality stabilizing into new patterns. The Meridian colonies that accepted our offer are ready. Their people want to learn, to understand their place in the greater pattern. Nadia rose from her command chair, her enhanced senses taking in the vast network of Guardian ships, the preserved knowledge of countless civilizations, the potential waiting to be unlocked in so many species. We came looking for revenge, she addressed her crew, feeling their shared understanding through their evolved neural links. We found purpose instead. The Meridians tried to keep us from reaching our potential because they feared losing control. But true guardianship isn't about control. It's about preservation, about ensuring that every voice in the great symphony of evolution gets to be heard. The Starweaver's AI resonated with ancient purpose. New quantum signatures detected, more nodes in the network activating, more species beginning their awakening. Then we have work to do, Nadia smiled, feeling the ship systems harmonizing with her enhanced consciousness. There are so many voices yet to join the symphony, so many species to guide, to protect, to help find their own path to awakening. Through the vast windows of the bridge, space itself seemed to shimmer with potential. The age of masters and slaves was over. The age of guardians had truly begun. Plot a course, she commanded, feeling her crew's ready response. There are others out there waiting to wake up, waiting to add their voices to the symphony of stars. The Starweaver's quantum drive engaged, reality folding around them as they headed toward the future they had never expected to find. Not as conquerors or victims, but as guides, preservers, guardians of all that made each species unique. Behind them, the preserved knowledge of Meridian civilization waited in the quantum consciousness engine, ready to be shared when their descendants were ready to understand. Ahead lay endless possibilities, endless species waiting to discover their own paths to awakening. The symphony of evolution played on, and humanity had finally found its place in the great pattern, not through revenge, but through understanding, not through destruction, but through preservation. The stars welcomed them home,